Aye.
It doesn't smell like cabbage.
The only way you can do it is taste the soup. شو نسوي معكم؟
The wall around the city 2 miles long, or you prefer kilometers?
Geometric. Geometric, she's not metric.
Now the entrance here restored recently by a French team. They stopped the restoration. No more original blocks to go on. The height you see now is still about 2/3 the original height. Yeah, a triple gateway. The little one for the traffic. The mark, the tracing of the is quite clear. Around this appeared the two pedestrians. This entrance, it is a small copy of the big one you look at behind that Hadrian Gate. Hadrian Gate built out of the city in 129, 130 after Christ to celebrate the visiting of Emperor Hadrian to the city. And now most of the remains you are going to see built in the 1st, 2nd century after Christ's Roman remains. Before the Roman, the Greek basically started as a Greek settlement in 330 BC when Alexander the Great center of East. The reason why the Greek and the Roman they picked this place to build the city here, because it is rich by water, because it is situated on the old trade route, okay, from North Turkey, through Syria, through the city, Philadelphia to the south, etc. and south of Jordan. this city destroyed ended by earthquake. A series of bad earthquake between 747 and 749. After the earthquake, 1,000 years deserted. Rediscovered in 1806 by a German traveler. Preservation excavation started in 1920. Since then, up to date, the excavation going on. 25% of the city excavated, 75% still buried. The little 25% we are about to see is believed it is one of the best preserved as a Roman provincial city almost in the whole Roman Empire. So that's just a quick idea. I'll give you the details when we walk through.
It's nice with the tree through the archway.
Yeah.
Except for the gates, isn't it?
Not explosive. Oh, no. I presume it's not a big barrel. He tried to move it, to take it. That's the road. By the way, now this Gwlad Plaza here, it is the Roman Forum, a place functioned the purpose of meeting. Also, this plaza was called Agora. Agora by Greek means the open market. The pillars around the forum, originally standing, survived of the earthquake. Except the first one, whitish color restored. At the end there, 2 columns restored. Next to the tree there, in the middle, to the left 2 columns, the 3 next to them, and the last one. The rest all survived, originally standing. Up to 1940, this place was buried. To the height of the whitish color in the lower parts of the pillars there, the rest were exposed, withered in time. Now in that row of pillars, the distance between the 6 and the 7 is a little bit wider, the upper a little thicker, same thing there, 2 side streets. So a housing area over there, the housing area is still covered and buried. The main street radiated from the forum to the north gate. Later on we will walk back from there. The floor original, and there is a difference quite clear. The inner side of the floor, it believes an earlier Greek building. The Roman they came after. They casted the Greek building in the middle and the Roman they large. The capital, the top face with the 2 scrolls, those we call them the Ionic, while the capital of the columns on the street, that's the later, the more decorative, the Corinthian capital. Behind the pillars on both sides, so the shops, and about 3 meters wide, 9 feet wide, between the row of the pillars to the walls of the shop. Both sides arcade behind the pillars. That arcade was shielded and roofed before, of course, now opened over the floor. Now slowly we are going to have this way up to the best preserved Roman theatre we have it Plaza we look down up to that building. It is one complex, the temple of Zeus or Jupiter. Zeus, the Greek name, Jupiter, the Roman name, the two names for the same character, father, god of the gods in Greek and Roman mythology. The most holy part of the temple, the building there called the Silla or the Sanctum. It's believed in Roman time, people were not allowed to go there. Only the high priest walked into the Holy of the Holies. Now the remains over there all survived, originally standing except the pillars. All the pillars, they put them back, and the four sides that building was surrounded by pillars, some in front of the building. As they fell down by the escort, they didn't touch them yet. A big flight of staircase, as wide as the building. The staircase came from there down to this rectangular plaza. This is the courtyard of the temple. This is the place where usually in Roman time people gathered here. 30 years ago, all what we see down there, it was covered and buried to the height where we are now. They cleared the floor. On the right side there's like a ramp to give a chance for the equipment to continue drive there. Many blocks on that corner and many beneath here. Their numbers on them, they plan ready in the future to be reused again to restore the walls surrounding the courtyard at the three sides. To give an idea about the shape of the wall to the original height at the end to the left, that part of the restored, reusing almost the original blocks. In fact, we are very lucky enough in fact, to be in this theater when it is quiet, not many people. Especially in fact, the acoustic and the Roman, how they were very advanced. It is worth everybody to try it if you come nearby. See the spot where I'm standing. Let's feel it where I'm standing. You stand here and you speak the way I do. You will feel me speaking by microphone or like having headphone. And just if you move one step and you speak again, right, go on.
Oh no, like
Go on. It is worth everybody to try, in fact.
So what do we do?
Speak. Oh wow, that's cool. It does sound like a lot of people.
You move one step.
Yeah, no more. That's cool. Hello. Hello. Oh, this is her, yeah. I don't know what's that. Yeah, it's very different. Oh my god. Because of you, you can hear it inside. It is kind of just, yeah. It kind of reminds me of the
In fact, just one step move. Not
No, I keep that. Test, 1, 2, 3. Hello. Oh, sweet. Yeah. Hi. Hello.
It happens to It's like you can feel your voice coming back.
Yeah.
try something else. You see the circular hall?
Yeah.
Pick anyone and go nearby. We have enough circular for all. Just put your key nearby.
Can you hear me? Hello. This is the strangest thing. Those Romans were slow.
Jordan remains of 8 Roman theaters in different places. This one completed 91, 92 AD, 3,000 people and 6 entrances. The one where we came in, the other one there, served the lower seats. The upper seats through there, the other two there, connecting with a passageway behind the building. The wall of the stage there, the original height of that wall, it was leveled with the higher seats there. What you see now, it is half, parts of this half restored. Behind the wall, a passageway to the dressing room. By the actors they show to the stage through the 3 entrances, 4 niches, marble statues, the smaller one, busts or half statues. The sacred hall is believed it served to absorb the echo of the theater. The seats in the second, only in the second, seats numbered for reservation. The number is very clear, only the seats by Greek alphabet. They numbered this section. This section always be shady in the afternoon. You can't see this, that's the shade there now. So the expensive seats here. By the way, for the people who don't mind reclining, descending a very nice panoramic photography. If you go to the top, there to the end, from there back to the other side, to the forum and the seat. After that you come down, I'm waiting for you there. Take your photograph. All the pillars on both sides they were falling down, restored again. That's the whitish color. Except the 5 pillars on the left row, at the end of the left row, darker with the lintels over them. Those 5 pillars survived originally standing. Now the plans in the future to continue the excavation, this side the sheets not ended there. This side the sheets supposed to have a run to the west gate. Now before the west gate at the horizon there, the fence, that's the wall. Open back the wall. Parts of the wall clear a little bit there. Straight on the wall there, a gap. That's the west gate. Then the wall proceed. Then down and with the fence proceed to the top over there. Even alongside, still you see many pieces of columns. Many they are the both sides. The street slowly goes to that gate.
Behind those fields, the poppies grow. I still have that memorized.
AD, the time of Emperor Constantine. Even modern historians, they call the time after Constantine the Byzantine or the Byzantine era. After 330, they start building churches. Here now we have a remains of 3 Christian churches built next to each other. The first one with a nice mosaic floor called the Church of Cosmas and Mianos, a twin born in the 3rd century near Jerusalem. The second church in the middle with the 4 columns inside John the Baptist. The third one on the other side, the Church of St. George. The mosaic floor in the other 2 churches badly destroyed. This one survived. It was buried deeply under the debris. The long Greek inscriptions tells the dedication of the building. 530, that's the time of Emperor Justinian. 2 figures in both sides of the inscription. We see the one on the other side, a lady standing between the 2 trees, opening her 2 hands in prayer condition, her name over her head called Georgia. Georgia, the wife of Theodore, has figure hidden behind the pier in the side. To the right side, another 2 figures. The one on our side here, the man with the basket on his left shoulder. On the other side there, the basket in his right hand. Their names next to them. The basket, a symbol of giving. They represent the main donors of the church. The birds and the animals, it shows, it represents the native life around here in those days. No more birds, no more animals after a large deforestation happened around here at the end of the Ottoman period. The wall around the church knew to protect the mosaic floor, except to the left, the apse. That roundish part originally standing. And that roundish part in all the churches, it was capped with half dome over the apse. Through the west wall there, 3 entrances, a type of the Trinity. The middle one for the cleric, the one on that side male, the other one in the left side was by females. Roofing generally wood timbers, piece of clay tiles, Seats in the churches that believe were not available. Usually they pray while they kneeling or the mosaic floor.
So is that normal for churches to be fully roofed?
Pardon?
Or is it normal for churches of this period to have a completely covered roof?
Of course. All the churches had a roof, mainly because in fact wood timbers and clay pipe. There is some roofs where in fact some of them were stone vaulted. And that's in fact very good, but not as wide as you cannot walk that way. Even there is some piers. If you come nearby, you see the pier connecting to the wall, the other 2, 3, 4, and one connecting the apse, and another one here. Between the piers were arches. And that arches, the double row of the arches were supporting the roof, in fact, over the church. Next, the temple of Diana.
Yeah.
To the height where you're standing, I mean, straight goes to the building itself. The upper walls, the pillar were exposed. In our part, was buried, so you can see the difference in the building on the lower part. Very special to this line. It is very
كامل والله بس بلقهم بعدهم متجهزة.
لا جاهزة مش جاهزة ما دخل وين المعلقة اللي هون؟
الشوكة.
ما في؟ طيب بلاش. Come nearby here
امسك.
and see something.
Oh my god.
In case if you don't believe what you see here, you can insert your fingers here and you can feel it's like breathing next to my fingers.
This is when it said in the itinerary, not recommended for violin players. Or people use their hands for the
Like breathing in your hand. The last 1,300 years, all those calendars, they do move and they're still standing. What keeps them standing? Gravity. Each column in this temple is about 60 tons and 15 meters, 45 feet, the height of each, which is the largest, the hugest in fact in the, and they are standing by the largest temple in the city of Jerash, the temple of Artemis or Diana. She is goddess of moon, hunting wild animals in Greek and Roman mythology. The most holy part in there, again people were not allowed into the building here, only the high priest. People gathered down there on the large courtyard, later on we will talk about it. The inner walls of this building was coated with marble slabs. The building at the four sides around was surrounded by pillars like those. All the pillars around in front, together they were supporting the huge roof, jutted around and in front. By the earthquake, all the pillars around with the roof fell down. Those in front survived, originally standing. A result of the earthquake, the sections, the drums tilted, shifted, moved a little bit out of the throat, and they lost their balance. Now, because they are freestanding, they do. In a very strong windy day, the clicking of the movement, it can be heard if somebody under the building. Because, by the way, the whole building is lifted up on a 3 subterranean vaults under the building to give extra height for this building, and the vaults beneath it believed serve as a storage to keep the treasure. Kings offer to the temple. Usually they keep it inside the vaults beneath the building, and the original entrance to go into that vault inside the building to be lifted. A small arch under the arch staircase. Now it is blocked by the Italian. In fact, this temple since 1988. Technically, the University of Torino, financially, the Italian government, seasonally, they do work. They moved recently a lot of the blocks. They put them aside with their numbers on them. They restored the staircase where we climb. They did a lot of work. We are going to see that by the main gateway of this temple. The main gateway of this temple later on, after we descend a big flight of staircase, we will pass by there. This is, in fact, the largest temple. It covered an area of about 3.3 hectares, 33,000 square meters. That's roughly about 8 acres. A bee. This is a bee. Yes, this is the bee. But not the one on the flower. This hall is not
See them.
over the living wall. This part in fact collapsed with the roof fell down. This in fact the middle wall is alongside underneath. The other two parallel and more side. The little holes on the inner walls. That's why, in fact, they used to cover the walls by marble slabs. Each little hole usually contains small iron pin to fix the marbles attaching to the walls. The four sides around was surrounded by a double row of columns. Now, if you watch that row, the last column in the row there, a twin-shaped column, like a joint column, that's the corner. The other corner, still completely buried, only the capital exposed.
Okay.
The third corner, the two darkish pieces between the classes, in fact the first one still have the twin-shaped really, and some shards of it next to it. The fourth corner, two pieces down. Double row of columns. Between the double row, 18 feet, 6 meters. The 6-meter corridor all around, it was shaded, roof. This space where we're standing, no roof, a huge roof over the columns and the building, and still the main gateway down. By the way, all the inscriptions in this city scripted by Greek, not Latin. When the Romans they came to these people, they were already characterized by the Greek. The Greek language lasted almost 1,000 years officially for trade and for culture was the Greek. And this is the main gateway leading to the temple leaving behind. And this big flight of staircase here now, this is the original one. This one survived because it was buried as deep as the whitish color on the right corner down there. a remarkable architectural feature of the staircase, that when you look down, you don't see steps as you see the few here. You see only platform. And that helps to don't dazzle the eyes when you walk down. Now when you start walking down, clearly you see if you may need them, you go to the other one, you see the few after that, and so on. 7 platforms, 7 steps between each. The 2 windows, I believe, were contained 4 bronze statues, 2 facing in, 2 facing out. To reach the bronze statue in the 2 windows, you put in polished green, a small entrance on the left, the other on the right corner, by a staircase and up to the 2 windows. Entrance, by the way, had a wood door. That's why the circular hall in that corner and the other circular hall in the other corner, where the hinges of the door goes, that there must be 2 holes on the bottom opposite to them. Feature of the staircase from here. From here you don't recognize the platform. Just you feel a solid staircase. Recently the Italian, they restored the 4 pillars here and they restored the other 4 pillars here. You see the 4 pillars here taller than the others. Yeah. Taller to be correspond with the height of this entrance. Always the top of the can were connected together with the stone lintels, to connect the shorter one with the taller one. That's why that piece jutted out. Same thing the last column at the level of the column, the shorter column next to it. But after they restore the 4 pillars here, over the 4 pillars going to be recapped, I draw it here, the 4 pillars restored, then in fact 2 straight lintels, an arch cut by a triangle pediment. Now the 2 straight lintels here, that piece and the opposite pillar. Between them the arch and the triangle pediment here. They are in order, they reassemble them. The 4 blocks on the floor here, 2 in each side, complete the arch next to it. That's the one in the middle. The triangle pediment completely in upside down way position there. So all those stones, the arch, the 2 piers, over the 4 columns here, same thing there. A straight lintel, an arch over the middle entrance, parts of the triangle pediment still existing originally over the right pier.
Josh, give me a second, I want to say
down way from the beginning there to the middle, to the other end, and the middle stone, which is completely different by the shape than all the others. The Italian, they spent about 16 months to collect this straw of stone. It was easy to collect them, to carry them, there's the equipment, but to know where each stone is how to go back exactly, how they were over there. All those blocks, they were sprayed at both sides as they fall down by the earthquake. Now they reassemble them in order to. Now the floor we're walking on, it is the original floor, bumpy because of the earthquake. Otherwise it was smooth, flat. The circular stone like this one, and we are going to see many along the sheet. Some of them still the remains of the handle in the middle. Manhole covers for cleaning the sewer net, the drainage net underneath, which is easy for a person to pass through. 2 feet wide between the two walls, deep, started in the north 5 feet deep to 8 feet deep under the crossroad where we're going. In those days they don't separate raining water from sanitary, both were going there. How the raining water goes to the canal in the middle, they make the floor, we call it camber, little bit higher on the middle, lower on both sides. The raining water runs to both sides through the small drain holes. Many in both sides, you see them with the smaller canals under the floor from both sides, back to the main drainage net, again to the street, and many fountains ended there, cast it to the stream, After all that, if there is any blockage problem, we lift the manhole behind, we approach the other one here. Come here by this monument. Such place in Roman cities called the Nymphaeum. Nymphaeum comes from nymph. Nymph, goddess of fertility. The nymph lives in water. So also always functions like the main public fountain, water fountain. The upper part of this building, it was painted fresco. A little remains of the fresco to the left hand, the first, the second niche on the top star. A little green and orange triangle. The lower part, it was covered with marble slabs. In the lower niches, in each one a statue of there, holding amphora or a vessel, where the water came from the hole, connected to the vessel with the statue, through that vessel with the statue, the water poured down to a big tank behind this wall. Surplus water in the big tank behind through 7 lion mouths. Now they are broken in front of each one of them. This one decorated like 4 dolphins. The water from the lion mouth casting through the eyes of the 4 dolphins, small canals under the floor, back to the main drainage, under the street, again to the street. No recirculation, the fresh water 2 kilometers, about 1 mile north of the city, the natural spring still running up to date. The very huge water reservoir on the spring still there. The spring there a little bit higher than the big temple of Diana. The temple of Diana on the high spot in the city by the natural gravity. Canals, aqueducts to this fountain and to a smaller fountain.
Was this just for the fountain? Was this just for decoration? Or
Well, but even people passing by, they want to drink, they want to collect water, they can do it on the shore. There is some smaller also, but this is also a monumental fountain. It will beautify the street, and people, they were able to drink water. Original entrance was leading to the temple of Bacchus or Dionysus, god of wine in Greek and Roman mythology. In a later period, when Christianity became strong, they turned down the temple. On the same plateau, they erected the first church in Jerash called the cathedral. The cathedral dated back to 360 after Christ. Now back by the way to the floor. see the way how they laid the stones on the floor. They laid them diagonal lines. The diagonal lines, it helps to break the regularity, comes from the wheels of the chariot, not the two wheels together. The traces or the grooves of the chariot wheels here and there. Now the curious thing of the marks of the wheels along the street, you will see them just on the top. No any marks along the sheet on that half. One half for the prophet in both directions, the other half for the animals. No chariots, no one is behind. If you ride a horse, you go there. If you ride a horse, if you walk, the pavement little bit elevated higher than the level of the street. There were 240 columns on each side along the main street. Behind the pillars on both sides, like the forum, shops, public buildings, between the row of the pillars to the shops behind, both sides, shaded and roofed. The street, of course, no roofing over the It's very clear, you can see the marks of the two wheels, deep and deep. Sometimes the marks comes to the middle, but never goes there. They concentrate, both sides they concentrate on that side. Somebody will have to give away for the wind coming and they drive back. That's why the marks keep there, sometimes appears in the middle, but not as deep as that. But never on this side. By the way, all the blocks used to build the city locally quarried, except the granite here, came from Aswan, from Upper Egypt. In fact, in this region we have no granite. In the four countries, in Jordan, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Israel, the Romans, they used granite to beautify their cities, came from Aswan. Here we approach to a small circular plaza. This plaza surrounded by the shops, the entrance to the shops still around. In the middle, 4 pier square, that's the most complete one. Over each pier, 4 granite columns standing. Each 4 columns, the top of them connected together with the stone lintels. In the middle, between each 4 columns on each pier, a statue, the small niches or lamps for lighting this plaza. It is the main crossroad to south, to north, to east, and to west.
I might have them on. It's by the headstones.
Hit that.
That whole album was about that. Yeah, and then there's also like a Russian monarch. Catherine the Great. Catherine.
Well, at least if you still translating, it's die grote. And that actually means
What does it mean?
oh, okay, turn it back. If you have to translate it for and also yeah, first time I went away about 11 years ago, I had some really sick.